Shabbat Shalom. Today's portion is Vayakhel Pekudei, and it was brought to the congregation by Alejandro Alvarado from Exodus 35 to 40. With this double portion, Parashat Vayakhel Pekudei, we're completing the book of Exodus, HaSefer Shmot. It speaks of how Moshe gathered, Vayakhel, the people of Israel to hand them ordinances about the sanctuary, and once again emphasizes the importance of keeping the Shabbat. Even the work of building the Mishkan stopped during the Shabbat. When the children of Israel were asked to contribute to the building fund of the Mishkan, they responded very generously. They were so generous, in fact, that the master builders asked Moshe to stop collecting, since they had much more than they needed. Moshe received gold and silver, precious stones, animal hides, and textiles for the various parts of the tabernacle, as well as incense and olive oil for the menorah and for the anointings. The princes of each of the 12 tribes of Israel brought precious stones for the breastplate and the ephod of the Kohen HaGadol. A group of craftsmen led by Bezalel with what's called Chochmat Lev, the wisdom of the heart. They were appointed for the construction of the tabernacle. What characteristics did Bezalel have that made him the master builder? The Torah tells us that God had filled him with intelligence, ability, and knowledge. He had the knowledge acquired from others. He had his own personal experience that helped him grow in his own ability. And he had the inspiration from the Creator to know how to behave correctly, properly. These characteristics covered the various aspects of our life. As human beings, we are continuously building, both physically and spiritually. How important is it then for us to build up these characteristics? First, by constantly learning from those around us, by treasuring the vital experiences that we live through, and generating ideas that help us grow as human beings, while incorporating the presence and inspiration of the Creator in all that we do. That's a formula. At the end of the construction, Moshe rendered a detailed account, Pekudei, on which resources to use, their quantity, and how the resources were to be used. The sanctuary would accompany the people throughout their journey in the desert, right to the entrance of the promised land. It was made up of several parts, each with a specific name. The first part, the Mizbeach, was like an anteroom where the people would go to prepare themselves to present their offerings. It was the area that we first connected with the divine, and it depicts discovering our need from within to offer something special to him. Next, the Mishkan appears as the main residence. This is where we are to deliver our offerings, and we make this place our own. It's the place to find ourselves. And finally, the tent of meeting, the Ochel Moed, which Moses took outside the camp, teaches us the importance of meeting with each other to present a better offering together. In this way, by building the temple, the people could find something to offer, a place to reside, and learn companionship while all together doing the work of its construction. In the most concealed part of the Mishkan was the Ark of the Testimony, which contained the tablets of the 10 Commandments. Why should the Ark of the Testimony have to be hidden by a curtain in the Kadosh Kadoshim, the Holy of Holies, to which only the Kohen HaGadol had access, and only once a year? Wouldn't it have been preferable for it to be visible to all Israel so that they could remember, that man was created to dedicate himself to the Torah? It is for man to search out the truth every day of his life until he finds it. The Torah is available to everyone. It is close to everyone, but it's hidden by a veil, a curtain, that teaches us that we must strive to study it and find the wonder of its contents, especially in our day when we do not have the Bet HaMikdash. Man has to strive to attain it in order to awaken in himself the consciousness of his purpose in the world. And this would lead him to action, to live in the light of the Torah. The Torah is married to the people of Israel. The people of Israel is married to the Torah and to the God of Israel, and maintains a covenant relationship and commitment to both God and the Torah. Each of us is capable of discovering the treasures of the Torah as long as we turn our hearts toward heaven. When we look up, the Creator looks down and illuminates our eyes with the light of his Torah. At the end of Parashat Pekudei, after completing the Mishkan, the utensils and the clothing of the Kohanim, the priests, Moshe made an exhaustive and precise enumeration of all the contributions made. He inspected the work. He noticed that everything was done according to God's order, and he blessed the people. God spoke to Moses and told him that the Mishkan should be inaugurated on the first day of the month, Nisan, and explained the order in which it was to be assembled. I think today is the first of Nisan. Moshe Rabbeinu felt the need to teach the people that examining our conscience is essential, because it has the ability to make people understand the mistakes they have made and let them find a way to correct them. Moses wanted to teach the people that throughout our lives, we should analyze our own actions and review our inner temple, corroborate if we are going the way of the Torah or if we have strayed from it. When a person examines his own conscience, as Moshe Rabbeinu did, by presenting a detailed analysis of all the donations received, we have the merit of being elevated, like the Mishkan. When the Mishkan was finally ready, with each element in its proper place, a cloud descended as a sign that the divine presence had settled upon it. At night, the cloud was replaced by a column of fire. In our day, this cloud or column of fire appears above us through our work that is well done and that's done with honesty. By his accounting that our work was well done, or that his work was well done, Moses demonstrated his integrity. This is very important, because not only do others have an obligation to judge us fairly and favorably regarding what is collected and the work that goes with it, but at the same time, it's our responsibility to avoid a situation where others might come to a wrong conclusion. As it says in Proverbs 3, verse 4, we must find favor and understanding both in the eyes of God and man. In the case of Moses, there was a particular need for transparency. He knew that everyone's eyes were upon them. While we must all act in this way, even more that is expected of our leaders. Rabbi Percy would always say, the more is given, the more is required. The tabernacle and the utensils allude to each of us and to the divine service that falls upon us. We are each considered to be a small sanctuary. When we live according to the Torah, the presence of the Creator rests upon us. May our Creator allow each of us to become a sacred ark that contains the Torah within, so that we may walk along a path of light and thus be light to all those who come into our lives, a light to all the nations. In this way, we will be fulfilling our mission to be part of what's called Tikkun Olam, the healing of the world. Shabbat Shalom.